Omar, what's up, man? It's nice to have you on here. How would you
What's up,
introduce
bro?
yourself to
What's up,
someone who
bro?
doesn't
Yeah,
know you?
of course. Would love to introduce myself. So my name's Omar Shafiq. I'm the owner of Creator Hive Media. Basically, we are a content growth firm for entrepreneurs and infopreneurs. We help them scale their personal brands, but also make money in the back end. And right now, we're doing around $85,000 a month. I'm originally from California, but I live in Pakistan because I'm building out the team over here and building out the whole operational setup. But thank you so much for having me, bro. And I'm excited to give value to the people watching.
God damn, man. We're gonna get into all of that later, but I want to first start from the beginning. What was your childhood like? How did you grow up?
It was rough, right? My childhood wasn't like an ordinary childhood because in 2006, so when I was like 4, I got diagnosed with cancer actually. So that period of my life from when I was 4 to around 12 was like, mainly in the hospital. Like I didn't really have a childhood per se compared to most people. I had bone marrow cancer, right, which was like very uncommon back in the day, right? So they didn't have a lot of cures, so the doctors gave me less than a percent chance to live, right? But beat it, still here today, 22 years old, turned 23 in a week, right? But most of the time was in the childhood, and I think that aspect has impacted my life a lot and gotten me to where I am today. But right, besides that, after I was 12, a lot of bullying happened just because, like, obviously I went through chemo. I got pretty chubby because of the medicines I was taking. So a lot of bullying, a lot of like people putting me down, saying that okay, you won't make it in life, or you have all these issues, this that. So yeah, that's kind of a bit about my childhood. But yeah.
Mm, yeah, interesting. So let's ask this: Who did you look up to when you were a kid? Because did
Mainly,
you like idolize
mhm.
anybody?
Mainly my dad, to be honest, right? I did look up to other people, but mainly my dad because he's been an entrepreneur ever since I was a kid, right? First, he started off, a normal 9 to 5 when he went to America, right? Because we migrated from Pakistan to America, right? When I was born, right? So I saw him go from having nothing to having multiple millions and building this multi-million-dollar company, and like kind of also struggling like every single day in order to just make sure that when I was in the hospital, we could pay the bills because it was pretty expensive, right? Because we didn't have insurance back then because we had just moved, we didn't have the money for insurance, so right, everything was coming out of pocket. So seeing him struggle, seeing him put in the work, and making sure the family was secure, right, has impacted me and played a huge role in my life and me becoming the man I am today.
Yeah, man. Honestly, that's a really good answer because a lot of people are not very close with their fathers or don't really look up to
Yeah.
them. Um, when did you decide you didn't want to, do the classic route of going to college, then go to find a job, etc., and then that be the highlight of your life?
I mean, when I went through basically what I did most of my schooling in the U.S., right? But then we moved to Pakistan in 2018. Was a pretty rough period. But did my over here they have O levels, A levels. I think you might know the system because you guys have the same system where you live. But I did my O levels, A levels. Then I went to university because I couldn't get in anywhere else because my grades were pretty shit, to be honest, in A levels. Right? I didn't do well. Didn't really study because I never really cared about school. Right? So I kind of just went to a university that placed me in. 6 months in, I was like, this ain't for me, right? And during that time period, I started video editing for clients, right? Just kind of doing freelancing on the side and started working out. I started making around 5 to 6 grand. And then one day, I was in the back of the class working on a project. And one of the teachers comes up to me and she's like, what are you doing with your life? You're wasting it, right? You're going to become a failure, this, that. And she like slammed my lap down, my laptop, right? And she closed it. I was like, oh, I got pissed off, right? I went out of the classroom, went to the dean's office, and told her, I'm done. I'm not coming from tomorrow. Here's all my stuff. Gave them my ID card, left, never looked back.
God damn, man, that's a really cool
Yeah,
story.
yeah, man.
So before you got into agencies, did you do any business model before that? Did you
Oh,
try a lot of things before that?
a lot of things, brother. A lot of things. I tried streaming, try because when I saw Ninja blow up, right when he blew up, I was like, oh, I want to be the next Ninja. So I started, streaming. Started doing that. Wanted to make money from it. Started. I've been doing content creation ever since I was a kid, right? I always loved the camera, always loved making videos, so I wanted to be a YouTuber ever since I was a kid as well, and that's also helped me build a business, and I'll kind of go into that later down the line. But right, been doing that. Then I started drop shipping, started like selling cat products online. That didn't work out, and then side hustles, things like that. But besides that, right, then kind of watched Iman Ghazi, as most of us have, right, learned about SMMA, kind of twisted a little bit into more of what I knew best, which was content creation, and have built the agency around that.
Mm. So when did you start getting into SMMA as a whole?
I think around 2023 was when I started like getting into it, right? And kind of really going full in, right, about the business. Like I had delved into it before, kind of learned about it, but never actually taken any action, right? And I was in this whole analysis process of what niche I should go in, what I should do. But then in 2023, I was like, all right, it is what it is, right? If I want to change my life, I have to, put in the work. And then from there, kind of started and got going.
Mm. How would you explain what you do to someone who doesn't have a clue what we're talking about?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. So we help entrepreneurs create content and then build their backend funnels, right, to help drive those leads, right, that we collect from the content and the views that we get from their content into paying customers for their courses, programs, etc.
Yeah. Mm. So how did you get your first client? Is the first client or the first few clients like the hardest?
Yeah, first client is very hard. I think it took me. It. I was pretty lucky. I got my first client within 2 weeks of sending cold DMs. Right, that doesn't happen to everybody. I got very lucky. Right, but it's also because I was very persistent. Right, I started sending cold DMs on Twitter. Right, and I was sending around like 100 a day. Right, my account got banned multiple times. I would just make a new account and start sending more cold DMs. So I was sending 100 a day. Right, got a couple of responses, landed a client. Even though it was a ton of money, right, it still started, it showed me, okay, fuck, this shit can work and this can actually turn into something, right? Got that client, found an editor, outsourced it to him because I actually didn't know editing at this point, right? I was like, I have an editing client, but I don't know how to edit, right? So what do? I go on Discord, look at servers, grab an editor, pay him a couple bucks, right? Keep the middleman profit. And then from there, I kind of turned it into a business. But first, it was just kind of outsourcing the work.
Mm. So is like cold DMs the best way to get leads, or some people do cold calling, some people do emails, all that. Or is it like other ways to get clients?
Yeah, so I'll break this down into two questions. So first off, it depends a lot on your niche, right? The niche I'm in with like influencers, content creators, things like that, they're always on their phone. They're always on social media because it's their job at the end of the day. So in order for them to see your message, right, a cold call won't work. Like, Iman's not going to pick a random phone call from a random person, but he does see his DMs, right? So, right, it depends on your niche a lot. But like a car detailer isn't going to be sitting on Instagram, so a cold DM won't reach him, but a cold call will, right? So each specific niche has a different method of delivery and a different vehicle that has to be used in order to get clients. So for us, cold DMs have been the best, and right now I think we send like 4,000 DMs every single week using a system that we've built.
Mm, holy shit, that's a whole lot
Yeah,
of traffic. So now I see that getting clients right now is easier than before. But
yeah, a lot easier.
how what would you say to someone who's like either they're doing whatever service online, but they're sending tons of outreach messages, etc., but they're not getting success? What's the formula to making a good outreach message?
There's no perfect formula. The way that I like to do, my outreach is testing, right? Gathering data, testing different messages. So, right, with the 4,000 messages that we send, it's not the same DM, right? It's different DMs, right? Per like 50 DMs, right? We change up the script, right? Changing up the script, then tracking the data, tracking the open rate, tracking the conversion rate, tracking how many books or calls are booked, tracking how many people actually see the DM. Using all this data, then we're able to craft, a better message, right? We see, okay, it is getting replies, but it's not actually converting into a call. So, right, then we change up the, ending line about, where we're pitching them, right? And then we change these small factors. And that way, right, you're able to see, okay, this DM is converting better, but this one is getting more replies. So how do I combine the two in order to make, a message that's going to do both and actually get me the results that I want? It's all about data. If you're not tracking, right, you're going to lose because, right, people like, me, people like Eamon Arab, right, who are crushing the game right now are always using data, right? And as for the second question, if you could repeat that, that would be great.
I'm not sure there was a second question.
Or like there was a second part in that question, I believe.
Basically, how does someone get better at the outreach message? But you basically explained it
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, data, right? Data and just doing it, right? At the end of the day, the more you do it, the more you send DMs, right? The more you're gonna see what works, what doesn't work, right? Like the only reason I'm good at what I do now is because I've sent probably tens of thousands of DMs, right, over the past couple of years, and that's why I know, okay, this is gonna work, this isn't gonna work.
Mm. You see, I heard a lot of people use the excuse that I'm not good at sales, etc. But I always think like, but sales is a skill. There are so many
Yeah,
books on
exactly.
sales and so many seminars, etc. But so many people say that it's just a talent, just something you're born with, naturally being good at sales. What do you think about that? Because I disagree with that point, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you. I disagree with the statement because I'm an introvert at the end of the day. I think you are probably as well, right? I hate talking to people. You put me in a room with 10 different people like a couple of years ago. I was the shyest person there. I would not talk to anybody, right? So introverts aren't good at sales, right? We hate talking to people, right? But innately, right? I just learned, did practice, 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 more calls with my friends, right? Them throwing objections at me throwing objections at them, us practicing and like kind of crafting the skill because at the end of the day you can become good at anything if you do enough practice.
What are like the most common objections people give
Mainly
out?
there's two actual objections. Everything else is a smoke screen in my opinion. One is always obviously price, right? As in like the price is too high because we charge like 6 7 grand per month for our clients, right? Compared to other agencies that's a lot of money. But right, mainly price, right? Everything else in my opinion is in a smoke screen. Like I don't have enough time or this in the right time. It's just them kind of not caring about the product. You didn't actually show them the value of the product, right? If they need to talk to a partner, right, that's another objection. They don't trust you enough, so they need somebody else's consultancy to see if this is for them, right? So price is the main objection that we get. Everything else that we've seen is just smoke screens, and we've kind of learned how to tackle those and actually get over them so that we can actually close the clients.
Mm. What were the biggest mistakes you were making in the beginning?
Focusing on only getting clients and not building operations, right? Like at one point we had like 25 clients come in a single month, right? I got all those clients, but next month they were all gone because, right, I had no operations built up. I had no actual systems, right, in the back end to handle the fulfillment, right? I was good at client acquisition, never actually good at fulfillment. So, right, from that, I've learned, okay, I'm good at one thing, but I need to actually delegate what I'm bad at, right? So then I hired an operations manager. He built out the operations and then scaling a little slower, right, so that we can make sure that okay, our backend is secure, so when we do get clients, right, we can actually fulfill and make them happy because customer satisfaction is the only thing that actually makes an agency successful. You can be good at getting clients, but if you're bad at retaining clients, you're never actually going to grow because, right, one month might get 5 clients, but if you lose 5 clients, technically you're at the same MRR and you haven't gone
Mm.
anywhere, right? So getting good customer satisfaction and then also just delegating things, right? In the start, every entrepreneur, right, I was the same way. It's like, oh, I want to do everything myself. I want to keep my profit margin super high, right? I want to make all this money. I don't want to delegate it, right? But if you don't delegate, right, you're in a losing battle because you can only do so much in your day, right? And you're only good at a couple of certain things. You're never going to be good at everything. Anyone who thinks that they are good at everything is just lying to you and speaking BS from their ass, right? You're never going to be good at everything. You might be good at one thing, but someone else is going to be better at you than something else. So delegate
Mm.
and build a team.
So when delegating something, trying to hire someone to do a certain task, how do you? What's like the hiring process? What do you look for when you're hiring someone?
So right now our hiring process is a lot more complex. But if I go back in, because we have like an HR things like that. But like if I go back in the day when I was doing the hiring myself, it was mainly talent, right? If they have the skill, right, they have time as well. We didn't ever hire people that were in school or in uni because obviously they have other commitments. And also just seeing like, okay, if they're good at conveying their own message, right? If they're good at talking to you and selling themselves to you, right? That person's going to be someone who's actually been able to put in the work, and also seeing their work ethic, talking to their past clients, talking to past companies that they work with, seeing how they actually perform. Because we only want to hire A players in our company. You never want to hire a B player because that B player can never turn into an A player. But an A player can actually move the company forward. And A players are going to be the only things that are going to make you stand out from any other agency or business that you're operating in.
Mm. We were talking about delivering the results to clients. What's harder, client acquisition or retaining a client? What's harder?
Retaining clients. Client acquisition is the easier part. Retaining the clients is the harder part because, right, each client is mainly different, right? Especially if you don't have a niche, right? This is why most agencies fail, is because they don't have one niche, so you don't have one process, right? You don't have one way to get results, and then you have all this operational drag, and that's why they fail. The thing about like getting results and retaining clients, it's like when someone's paying you like 5, 6 grand, right? They expect a lot. They want to actually like get to 10,000 followers or 20,000 followers, make 6 grand in like the first week that they get onboarded, right? But you have to set expectations, right? And that's where most people actually suck. I was the same way as well when I first started, right? I'd never set expectation. The client would come in, hype them up, sell them, right, on the dream, but then right, never actually set the expectations. Okay, this is gonna take like 90 to 120 days in order to actually get to your goals, right? Because it is a long process, and that's the harder part, and that's something that's learned with time, and not everybody. You're never going to be good at the first step.
Mm, yeah. So, what's the number one reason why people fail in this field?
They give up too early, in my opinion, right? They send 300-400 DMs, they don't get a client, they get demotivated and they quit, right? Because you have to have this work ethic and this fire inside of you that okay, it's gonna take time, right? A lot of people see all these guys online, right? That, oh, you can make $10,000 in the next like 20 days or 30 days, right? And this sets like this crazy expectation. You and I have been in this game for a while. We know that's not true. It's gonna take time, right? So you have to get that false narrative out of your head, because if you don't, right, you're gonna be in this constant battle with yourself of, oh, I'm not there yet. Then you're gonna get demotivated. Then you're gonna stop doing work, and then you're never gonna actually see success. So that, and then also just not putting the work. A lot of people are very lazy. Like I have a coaching program as well where I teach people how to start agencies, and the biggest flaw I see in that is that they just don't put in the work, right? I'll be like, you're supposed to send 50 DMs. Oh, how are we going to send 50 DMs? We don't have enough time in the day. I'm like, everyone has time. Everyone has the same 24 hours, right? You can send 50 DMs, right? It's just that they don't want to, because it's something that's boring, and they don't want to do the boring work at the end of the day. And boring work is the only thing
Mm,
that's going to move the needle forward.
yeah, you know, it's like a sort of motivation, meditation. I mean, when when you meditate, you get random thoughts, and you have to focus on the breath. When you're working, you get random thoughts. This sucks, man. I
Oh,
should be doing this
100%.
other
Yeah.
task. I should be doing this. The art is like the friction is gonna be there no matter what you do. If it's something that's boring, your main task is focusing on the task. And even though it's a shitty task that you don't want to do a lot of the times, man, holy shit. Even when I started, for example, coaching, right, fitness, the thing is, I had to do some free work in the beginning to get
100%.
testimonials.
Everyone has to.
And I wanted to ask you, like, how do you get those first testimonials in the beginning? And is it hard to uh, get clients without testimonials?
I love the fact that you did free work, because right, that's one of our main ways that we actually still do acquisition, is by doing free work, right? Even at the stage we are at with all the testimonials, we still offer free work to some of the top people in the space. That's how we got Ty Lopez as a client, right? Free work, right? He never responds to anybody. But our DM was like, we're gonna make a free edit for you, and we actually got him as a client from there. But right, the way that you get testimonials, things like that in the start when you're starting, is by offering free work. No one cares about you in the start because you don't have any social proof, and there's no way that you can prove that your system or your service actually works, right? So offering them free work, right, doing it, and then as you get more clients, right, perfecting your process, perfecting the system, writing down what works, writing down what doesn't work, getting data points, right? As you can see, I love data, right? I'm a nerd, right, for data, right? But data is the only thing that's gonna help you actually make sure that your process, your business, and everything actually works.
Hmm. How valuable is mentorship? Because a lot of people want to learn things on their own, but it will take a lot more time,
Oh,
and
100%.
mentorship is so, bro. Like, I'll let you speak on it, but how
Uh,
valuable is mentorship in your opinion?
it is the only thing that stands between you and your goals, right? Getting a mentor has changed my life so much. Like last year, I think I invested well over $40,000 into mentors, right? I had a call with Iman Ghazi, $15,000 for 1 hour. Insane,
Mm,
right? Most people would look at me and be like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, why'd you pay 15K for an hour?" But that 1 hour has shifted my like coaching business so much, and has helped me generate, six figures, right, from it. Because at the end of the day, in order to accelerate the process, instead of you spending all this time, learning and then doing it, failing, learning, doing, failing, and going through this whole cycle, right? Why don't you just learn from somebody who's actually at the position you want to be, so that you can accelerate that whole process and get to your goals a lot faster.
mm. What's harder, scaling from 1K to 10K or from like 10K to 50, 60, 70K?
10K is always the hardest. Getting to that first 10K is always the hardest, because, right, you don't know what works, right? At that point, you don't know if the business is going to work. Then you're also battling, mentally, right? Oh, is this going to work? Is this the right business model, right? Then you have all these external forces as well, like your parents, your friends, people telling you like, this is like, you're
Mm,
wasting your life. You're not doing the right thing, right? Go to school, go do, get a 9 to 5, because you're wasting your life. So you have all those external forces, then you have your internal forces, and then also like, you don't know what works, you don't have any processes, you don't have a business, right? But after 10K, it's like, you just have to increase your inputs, and you're going to get a greater output at the end of the day. Don't you
mm.
agree?
Yeah, I agree, man. And man, when I love the fact that you mentioned that people say that well, you're stupid or you're unrealistic, whatever. Because when I left high school, when I was 16, I left high school without my parents' permission,
Wow.
bro. I falsified their signature and I
That's
took it to the
crazy, bro.
principal, bro. Right, like I was getting so much shit for that, but
Yeah,
now, almost 2 years later, bro, it was the best decision I ever made, man.
of course.
And I genuinely, with that, saved 8 hours of my day. I was able to make so much more money and genuinely use that. Now, granted, I'm not at
Congrats,
20K a
man.
month yet, but I've moved up, and
You move the
I
needle at the end of the
really,
day, and that's the most important thing.
mm, absolutely, man. So like, it's hard in the beginning when you have no results to show anybody, and you have just the belief. And I feel like people that still would take a 9 to 5 as a plan B, that would accept that life, that
Yeah,
would give up, go back to their comfort, for them it's hard to take that risk, right? To,
yeah,
to really like invest in themselves or whatever. But if you don't like that existence and you just can't accept that, you will work hard. You will
exactly.
take the risks. You will invest in mentorship. You will put your whole belief system like at how should I say, at test. Let's say that you'll
Yeah,
see
but
what you're actually made of.
yeah,
Because a lot of
exactly.
people quit, or as soon as they fail at something.
Exactly. Right, because they have a plan B at the end of the day. Anyone with a plan B is gonna fail, because you have another option. My bad, my
What's
fucking throat's dry. But right, what I was saying is, right, when your back is against the wall, like, you left high school, I left uni. Give me a second, I'm gonna go to bathroom.
absolutely good, bro? Don't worry about it.
Sorry about that, bro. I haven't drank water in
That's
12
okay,
hours,
man.
so
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
cut it out. It's okay.
all good. Yeah, but you were saying,
I was trying to say, I was trying to ask another question. What's the key to building a good team?
first off, is having a vision and a mission that your team can align to. A lot of people build teams and things, but right, their vision doesn't align with the team's vision. And when that doesn't happen, your team's never going to be motivated enough to actually care about the business. Because like with our business, like, I've had employees for the last 2 years who have stayed with me, even though, like, agencies, you have good months, you have bad months, right? You're never gonna just be consistently like making 80 grand, 90 grand. Some months you might be at 10 grand, right? You can't pay salaries then. But right, when those times come and those hard times come onto the team, right, they understand, okay, this might just be for 1 month, right? But next month we're actually gonna succeed and we're gonna go through it. And right, when they see that, right, they know the long term vision. My team knows that we're trying to build like $100 million company, right? And then get an exit. when we get that exit right, everybody's gonna get a chunk of the pie because of all help, build this thing. So they're all working towards that goal, right, and helping me move this, train, because train can't move by yourself, right, by itself, right. Everyone has to, push it forward in order for it to actually move. So right, because you can only do so much by yourself, you need a team that aligns with you and is trying to move to the same end destination.
Mm. Yeah, man, that's a good analogy. That's a good explanation. I mean,
Thank you.
I'm not at that point yet, but this is a good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
What was your biggest struggle toward your journey? What was the one thing they were struggling with, or maybe more?
The biggest struggle I've had is, the months where we've had to pay the team out of pocket because the agency was failing, right? Like we've got into 80 grand, someone, and then like what would happen is like we would churn a ton of clients, then we would have enough for salaries, paying out of pocket, like, spending hours and hours and hours at my desk just to make sure that, okay, we have enough to pay those salaries. Like 6 months
Mm,
ago, right? We had this time where we lost all of our clients 1 week before salaries were due, right? And then
mm,
throughout that week, I was like, holy shit, what do I do? I need this much money, right? What did I do then? I was like, all right, no one's gonna come save me. No one's gonna pay these salaries for me. I'm the only person who can make this work or fuck it up, right? I sat at my desk, did as many DMs as I could, landed like a couple clients, five or six, right? Got the money, paid the salaries, right? But at the end of the
mm,
day, right, most people aren't going to be willing to do that, and that would be where they, hit rock bottom. They're not able to get back up because they're too scared and they're so demotivated, right, with the fact that it's failed, right? It's not working the way it was, right, and that makes them quit, right? But like those late nights, those struggles, right, are what has built me to where I am today and is going to help me get to where I want to be in the future.
yeah. Each time when you have a problem, see there's something you can do, just something that could possibly work, even if it's low chance. If there's no other option,
Exactly.
bro, there's always something you can do, and that's like a lesson that is so valuable to my older self. There, like, never fall into desperation, because that nothing good. Your life will only go down from there if you
Exactly.
just give up. If you just expect a miracle. And I wanted to ask another question, which is, okay, a lot of guys, you know the term entrepreneur, right? A lot of
Yeah.
guys say
Yeah.
that they're an entrepreneur, but they don't even have a product, right? So how can you be an entrepreneur when people can't give you money? You don't even have a way in which someone could give you money if I wanted to, right? They don't even have a product or anything, or an
Mm.
offer or anything. So at what point can you call yourself an entrepreneur?
When you have your first, couple clients, when you have a couple sales, right? Because before then, right, you're just somebody trying to become an entrepreneur, right? As you said, entrepreneur, right? So these entrepreneurs, right, the first thing that they have to do, if anybody is watching this and doesn't know how to become an entrepreneur, is first off, build your product, build your service, right? Because if you don't have a product or service or an offer, right, you can never get clients. So build that first before trying to get clients. A lot of people try getting clients, then building their offer, right? And that's why they fail, right? Offer, service first, then client acquisition, because right, it's gonna work hand in hand like a flywheel.
Mm. What's the balance between thinking big and, I hate this word, but being realistic? Because a lot of people think that getting 10K a month at
Yeah,
18, 20 years old is unrealistic. Bro, they are. Yesterday I actually watched a video. A guy was 15 making 150K a month
yeah,
at 15,
at
like
15,
almost
which is
16.
insane.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Right? So it's like now saying it's unrealistic is like out of the window, because you could take countless examples, right?
exactly.
Iman is a great example of that, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's the difference between thinking big, thinking too big, and being realistic?
So I love this conversation because I have this all the time with one of my best friends, right? We always talk about this, like, we have like this goals of like trying to make $1 million a month or $2 million a month, right? And like to you and me, like that's not unrealistic. Like it can be done, right? If someone else
Mm-hmm.
has done it, why can't we? But like to the average person who hasn't even hit their first 10K a month, that sounds very unrealistic, right? So realism only comes in factor when you haven't achieved something. But as you achieve small milestones, right, your horizon expands, right? When you hit your first 10K a month, then you're like, oh wait, if I hit 10K a month, I can also hit 50, right? It's just 5x more of what I've done. Then when you hit 50, then you're like, oh, I can hit 100. When you hit 100, right, you know, okay, I can hit 500. When you hit 500, you know, you can hit a million. But like unrealism, right, and things like that only come from the bottom because those people have never achieved anything significant enough to know what's above that. Because at the end of the day, there's levels to the game. You have to unlock each level. It's like a video game, right? At the end of the day, in like GTA, things like that, right? When you hit one level, then you know the next one is capable, right? And before then, you're like, oh, it's unrealistic to actually beat the game, right? Until you level up. Right, and if you level up accordingly, right, you can get there. And it's all a mindset game at the end of the day, right? Now that we have access to technology, YouTube, things like this, we can see other people who have done it, right? And there's no difference between them and you, right? At the end of the day, we're all humans. We all have a brain. We're all capable of actually achieving our goals, right? The only difference between them and you is that they put in the work. You didn't. Simple as that.
Mm.
And like Iman is what 25, nine-figure entrepreneur, has made multiple millions and changed his life, and we've seen his whole growth online, right? So if he was able to do it, why can't you?
Yeah, exactly, dude. The dude dropped out of high school at 17.
Exactly,
Like, literally, like you see his journey from the beginning. He's not some rich kid. That's the difference.
exactly.
Um, so like, and there are still people saying that he comes from rich childhood, daddy's money, bro.
But he still put in the
You
work,
literally,
right? At the
yeah.
end of the day, it's people's choice, right? People are always gonna hate. Like, recently I got an exposed video done on me, right? A guy was like, "Oh, he comes from
Really?
like a rich family, this, that." He's just lying to sell a course. He doesn't run an agency. But at the end of the day, like, I didn't respond to that video because that's what he wants, right? They want
Mm.
responses because it's gonna give them views and give them the satisfaction of that they want. But right at the end of the day, people are always going to hate on you as you level up and get to the next level because they're just jealous and kind of hate themselves in a way, right? And that's why they're throwing that hate onto you instead of on themselves.
I feel like I understand this because I used to be that type of hater when I was like, 14, 15. I was like, man, this guy's bro, our courses are a scam and all
Yeah.
this. I used to think this shit. I thought that,
Oh, same
I, was,
here.
I thought that people weren't legit, etc. And then okay, like, yeah, there are some scammers, but the thing is, if you never, bro, I got scammed a couple of times.
Oh, same here.
Bro, if I never experienced that,
Yeah.
I would have never been able to tell what is scam and what is real. And also,
Exactly.
I'm not perfect at this. Okay, but the thing
Yeah.
is, people don't think it's realistic because they can't see themselves doing it. But you have to understand, you
Exactly.
have to become a completely different person to even start
Yeah.
making a couple thousand online. Because
Exactly.
again, the beginning, bro, in my opinion, the beginning probably will be like the hardest.
Okay, the
You
first
know.
1 or 2 years of entrepreneurship is always going to be the hardest. And I say 1 or 2 years because everyone has this expectation of like 3 to 6 months. Like, it's not going to happen that fast, right? And you have to get that out of your head that it's going to happen fast, and know that you have to extend your time a little bit, right? So that you don't give up in the process. Like, those first 2 years of entrepreneurship
Mm.
are hell, right? Because you don't know what works. Everyone's doubting you. But once you see, one win come in, then you have another, right? Stack your wins, right? It doesn't even have to be a financial one. It could be like working for like 3 hours straight without doing anything else, being focused, and stacking those wins is going to help you actually get motivated and get to the success that you want to have.
Mm. Is ego a bad thing in business?
In terms of ego, what do you mean? As in, like, oh, I make 100 grand a month, like I'm so cool, this that?
I mean, that's more like bragging, but I say ego in like I deserve it, or I think I am the one who's gonna make it, and etc. And I think that that can be good to a certain extent. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
it could be good and bad in my opinion, right? It could be good in the factor that makes you feel like, okay, this is something that I worked for and actually got it. So that's a different sort of ego because that's deserved ego at the end of the day, right? If you know you've put in the work for the last 5 years and gotten to that point, I think you should be able to be egotistical because you know how much pain has gotten you to that point, right? No one else might not know that, but you can do it. So that's like ego that's deserved. But let's say you make your first 10 grand, right? And you're egotistical, right? That, oh, I deserve this because I made like 10 grand. I don't think you should because, right? That's just a simple thing to do, right? And that's for I think that should answer your question. If it doesn't, right, I can expand on
No, that's actually a good explanation. To be honest,
it.
I feel like a lot of people just don't think they're good enough for it, and a lot of
Yeah,
times you're not, but you can become that person. A lot of people still hold on to the same identity to through whatever level they get
yeah,
to. I'm gonna use the gym as an example. A lot of
yeah,
guys, they started as this was me. I started as that fat kid in school, and as I started getting in shape at a second year, third year in, I
yeah.
still was like insecure. I still like was afraid to sit down because then my belly would like or my belly would like how do I don't know what word to use for that, but you know what I
It would
mean.
pop out a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
I realized, bro, like I'm not that kid anymore, right?
exactly,
And I think that it's the same in business where you have to make a completely new identity that you're not the same person that you were before,
exactly.
and this is how people break
You have to kill the
addictions.
old version of yourself in order to create the new version of yourself.
Yeah, this is how also people break addictions. A smoker, right?
Yeah,
He if he says I'm trying to quit smoking, I'm a smoker who tries to quit smoking, or
yeah,
say no, I just don't smoke. I'm not a smoker anymore.
yeah.
Who of them is more likely to quit smoking for good?
Exactly. Obviously, the second one because he's already at the mentality of he's already quit. But somebody who's like, I smoke weed every day. It's gonna be hard to quit. It's never gonna quit because their identity is already aligned with smoking weed, right? And if you have that identity, you're never gonna break through. And like, that's like one of my favorite books to read. Is Reality Trend Surfing. I don't know if you've read it, right? But if you haven't, bro, would definitely recommend it to you. It's something that has shifted my mindset. Like at the end of the day, people think like they're destined for something, but in my opinion, you choose your own destiny. You build your own destiny, right? You have choices in life, right? But most people don't take the right choice because right, everything that that choice is aligned to other things and other choices that you make, and they compound. Like if you wake up like with a bad mindset that oh today's such a shit day, everything that follows is also going to be shit because right, you've started the day negative, everything that follows is also going to be negative. But if you start the day positive, right, I can promise you everything else is going to be very positive. And that's what happens in business as well. Like you have one win, it motivates you, and then like very fast you're going to have another win, right? Because it compounds and it brings it out from the universe into your life.
Mm, yeah. I love the fact that you mentioned reading books because so many people underestimate that. Bro, I have a whole stack of books right there.
Same here,
I love,
bro.
I love
I
books.
love
Do
reading.
you think that how important are books? Because some people say it's a waste of time, and I disagree with that.
I completely disagree, right, with that fact. But it can be a waste of time if that's all you're doing and you're not putting in action, right?
Mm,
Because right, a lot of people use like this whole thing, especially like when the beginning and being an entrepreneur is right. They're reading, they're doing the cold showers, they're doing the journaling, but then like they spend like 6 hours of their day doing all of these tasks, and then you ask them what work they didn't do anything, right? So they use that as an excuse, right, in order to cope with not doing the hard work. But if you use it as a learning mechanism, right? I've hated reading ever since I was a kid, right? But I've kind of gone back into it, right? Because I saw okay how much impact it had in my life and in my friend's life, and what it's been able to do for me. So if you use reading as a learning mechanism and you also put in the work, it's gonna help you actually get to your goals a lot faster because you're just
mm,
learning at the end of the day. You get mentored by the book. Right, you can be mentored by like a call like this, or you could be mentored by words on a page, right, which is a book.
mm. Do you think that anybody could make it if they tried hard enough, or are some people too far gone?
Most everyone can make it if they try hard enough. I don't believe that anyone is too far gone. As long as you put in the work, right? What's the difference between me and you? Nothing, right? I just put in the work, you didn't. If you put in the work, right, you are gonna achieve some sort of success, right? Might not be as crazy as most people, but still gonna be better than the life you're currently living. You could always improve your, in Urdu we
Mm,
say halat, which means like your current circumstance. You can always improve that current circumstance by just working a little bit harder.
mm. I love that. What do you think people give up? Why do you think people give up on their dreams at some point?
A lot of people give up on their dreams because right they listen to the external noise a lot, right? All this external noise of like be take the safe route, especially from their parents in college, like take this route, take that route, and then also just like them not seeing any wins in their life, right? They don't actually put in the work and see any wins, and then therefore like their whole mindset is like this won't work out, like this doesn't work, right? Everybody online is faking it, everyone online is a scammer, right? It's just that this whole mentality shift that they have to make. Most people aren't ever able to break out of that whole, mentality that we've been brought up in school. Is like, this is the path. If you follow it, you're going to be successful. If you don't, you're not going to be successful. And most people are still in
Mm,
that, even when they're adults, right? They're like, cheating is bad, this is bad. Even though in my opinion, like, cheating is good, right? Because, right, why don't you just learn from someone who's doing it better than you? Right, if you
yeah.
use it for yourself, you're gonna get to where you want to be, right? But most people just stay in that whole rut of, we're in school, this, that, and they treat their whole life as that.
Yeah.
That's why they don't actually see success.
School puts so many bad beliefs in you, like
Yeah,
working with other people is not good, failure is bad,
yeah.
and like you,
It puts a lot
bro.
of limiting beliefs into a person.
Mm, I'm not sure if I would want to send my kid to a public school, you know,
Yeah, probably
because
gonna also do the
so
same
many
private
people
school.
so many people say about socializing, but they can who are they going to socialize with at school? They're not
Exactly,
quality people. You can
yeah,
socialize your kids in other places doing more
exactly,
productive things, not at school, where even a lot of the stuff that they teach is quite false,
exactly.
blatantly false,
So false,
right?
especially
Like
with the
especially,
whole new agenda that they've been pushing. Right? I don't know if you want to
yeah,
get into that, but like that whole agenda, like I don't want my kids learning that stuff. Quite
yeah,
frankly,
bro. Absolutely not, bro. Like, what does fucking gender fluidity have to
yeah,
do
it's
with
have to do with
history
what they're
class?
learning, right? Like, it doesn't make sense, and I don't,
Man,
I don't want my kids to be, incorporated into a system that's made for failure. At the end of the day,
yeah. And even if you look at history class, it changes the stories that they tell about World
yeah,
War II, for
yeah,
example, based on what country you're in. It's
exactly.
like they don't tell the objective truth, you
Yeah,
know?
because no one wants to actually tell the truth if it's not something
Mm,
that benefits
yeah,
them. You go to U.S. to textbook, they're never going to say the U.S. lost the war. But even though the U.S. has
yeah,
lost a lot of wars, but you're never going to find that in a history book. It goes
yeah. And
against the
especially,
narrative at the end of the day.
I'm from Czech Republic, right?
Yeah,
Germany is the country right next to me. I have a friend from my gym who's
yeah,
from Germany,
yeah,
bro. When I told him what he taught me, what they taught me in middle school and
yeah,
history class in ninth grade, and what they taught him, it's
yeah. It's
completely
completely
different
different.
story.
Yeah,
Because Germany invaded Czech Republic, right?
yeah,
So here we have Germans are bad, and in
yeah.
Germany they're like Germans were good, right? Or like the good
Exactly.
guys, etc. In Germany they teach you a completely different story.
Oh yeah, if you probably go to like a German school, they're not gonna say like this person is bad, that person is bad, right? The
Yeah,
U.S. is good. They're gonna say it's bad because they invaded us, right? But if you go to the U.S., they're gonna say Germany is bad because it doesn't fit the narrative that they're trying
yeah,
to actually teach you and indoctrinate you. At the end of the day, that's what school is. It's just indoctrination.
yeah. We were talking about quitting before, and I want to ask you: did you ever want to quit at any point?
Oh, a lot of times. I still sometimes during this day, like when I have bad days, like sometimes I do want to quit. But then I just, think to myself, like, this is like, as Alex Ramosia said, this is a story that I one day will tell. And these are the battles and the dragons that I face. And that
Mm,
quote actually just keeps me going because it is, right? All those painful nights and all those days that you want to quit are the difference between you winning and you losing, right? Because you don't lose until you quit.
the most interesting stories and the best stories I've got were ones where I fucked up, were
Yeah.
the ones where something bad happened,
Oh,
right?
100%.
It's like, what is this interesting story where everything went well, nothing went wrong, and there's no excitement in that story.
Exactly.
When I
Because a
tell
good story
stories
is
to my
one where
children,
there's failure at the end of the
yeah,
day.
exactly. Stories of pain, etc. Of like those are the most interesting ones. Those are the people who we admire to this day.
Yeah.
So I completely take a different look at it, especially after I read "Can't Hurt Me" from David Goggins.
Yeah.
I just took a look at failure and at difficulty at a completely different lens. I finished that
Exactly.
book yesterday. Actually, I gave it to my
Awesome.
brother as a gift because I wanted him to read it because I knew that, bro. Whenever you read a book, give it to someone after you're finished
Oh
reading it,
yeah.
okay? Because, bro, that you can bless somebody else with the knowledge if you
Exactly.
know
You
that
can
it's a
change
good
somebody's
book.
life at the end of the
Yeah,
day. One
yeah.
book can change your entire life.
Especially, and if you want to have it on your shelf, just buy a second copy of it. Jesus Christ, $20, bro.
Exactly. Like
Bro,
what's it gonna do? Nothing.
bro. especially, bro, if you believe in God or whatever God you believe in,
Yeah, yeah,
you give to God by giving to people, bro. He's gonna bless
exactly,
you. Okay,
exactly,
like don't be stingy with 20 bucks for a fucking book, right?
exactly.
That's like I
It's not
hate
gonna
when
do anything
people
for
do that.
you. Yeah,
I hate when people do that, man.
yeah, exactly.
What?
It's dumb, right? It's just that they have this limiting belief that if they give, they might lose.
Yeah. What it is slash what was your why in the beginning? What's your why now?
The why in the beginning was to show that the belief that I have is right. At the end of the day, like proving people right, like proving my parents wrong. At the end of
Mm.
the day, because they didn't really support me in the beginning. They wanted me to go to school, take the normal path. Even though my dad is an entrepreneur himself, but he's like, you need a degree in order to be an entrepreneur. I was like, no, you don't. Like all these guys online, this that, right? So proving them wrong, right, wrong, and then also the biggest why that I have and that I've had since I was a kid is like if God has given me life so many times and blessed me with life so many times when you know, everyone basically said I was gonna die, right? But God has given me life again and again and again. It's like I was not
Mm.
put here, right, on this earth to just sit in an office and waste my life away, right? So that why just keeps me going every single day, especially when I want to quit. I'm like, God didn't quit on you. Why are you quitting on God? Because if I quit, right, I'm just quitting on God's plan at the end of the day and like not achieving the potential that He has instilled in me.
That's an amazing answer, man. What's the what's the key to long term success, right? Because a lot of people fall off, right? They make
Yeah,
10K a month, and then 6 months later they go back to zero because they've maybe fucked up at some point. What's the
yeah.
key to maintaining and growing?
Have a larger vision, right? Let's say the vision shouldn't like when you want to make your first 10K, it's like once you start getting closer to that goal, let's say you're at 6K a month and you're like 4 grand away, right? Your horizon should expand to 20 grand instead of being stuck at 10K, because then your goal has gotten bigger, so your ambitions are going to be bigger. A lot of people are like have a they're like, okay, when I hit 10K, right, then I'm going to expand my horizon to 20, right? But then they get comfortable, right? And comfortability kills success, right? And as you
Mhm.
said, right, they get back to zero because they get too comfortable with the amount of money that they're making, that they stop putting the same amount of effort that actually got them to that 10K, right? And that's why they fail, right? Because when you decrease your effort, right, obviously you're going to go back to zero.
Yeah, especially like when you get to the bigger numbers, when you're making people's
Yeah,
yearly salaries in a month, it's how hard is it to keep like not get comfortable, not get complacent at those levels?
it's very hard, right? Like making 80, 90 grand in a month, bro, is to be honest not normal, right? That's somebody's yearly salary, especially like where I live, right? It's so cheap here, right? The $1 here is 300 rupees, right? So if I convert it, like I make tens of millions of rupees every single month, right? And cost of living here is so low, so it's like it's so easy for me to get comfortable here. But right, then I look at other people, right? That's why I travel a lot. Like you probably know Daniel Dolan, right?
Say again.
Daniel Dolan, he's like an entrepreneur, right? So I went to one of his events. You might know him, a POV guy, right? You see his thumbnails all the time on YouTube these days, right? So I went to his event and I met a kid there who was my age. He makes $3 million a month, right? I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And ever since I got back, I'm like, bro, I'm not doing anything, right? Like 80, 90 grand is nothing compared to 3 million. So,
Yeah.
meeting other people who are doing better than you. The reason that most people fail is because they're the top dog in their circle and they have no one else to look up to or like to compare themselves to, right?
Mm.
And when you're that person, right, who's at the top and you're the best in your circle, you're never going to actually win because, right, you don't have somebody to actually compete with, right? So that's why I always surround myself with people who are doing better than me, right? Like over here, like I might make the most amount of money in my friend group, but that's why I have online friends. I have people who I've met at events, things like that,
Mm.
that I talk to on a regular basis who are doing better than me. And then also just networking, talking to people, right? Is so important, and just like expanding your horizon at the end of the day.
Yeah, dude, like, bro, this podcast has shown me what small fish am I, bro. Like, dude, I was supposed to, bro, I was speaking to people that are worth 8 figures, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm so far away.
Exactly.
But, bro, like, it's so inspiring at the same time. I'm not like the honest types of people that say, fuck these rich guys, man. I'm
Yeah.
discouraged, and I'm just gonna say, why am
Yeah.
I not there yet?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm 17, bro. I only put in like 2 years. These guys have been doing it for decades.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
So it's like I know that I have to put in a lot of work, and I'm excited about that.
Exactly.
let's say we were talking about what's the key to long term success, but let's say somebody makes a lot of money and they lose it all. Let's say they fuck up at some point. Do you think it's easier or harder to make it the second time?
Well, I can speak from experience because I've done that. I've made a lot of money. I've lost it all at points, right? Like, last year what happened was the agency failed, and for 6 months we couldn't even get one client. So I was just using savings. Also I had inflated my lifestyle to a very like high point, and my bank
Mm,
account basically got drained. I went to like zero, and I had to build back up. But that second time was so easy because you already have the knowledge, right? You already know what works and what doesn't work. So I just applied that knowledge, and like within the first like 2 months of me starting again, right, I was able to scale very very fast because I had that knowledge base. In the start, it's all a knowledge game, right? In the start, the only reason that it takes so long is because you lack knowledge. But if you fail and you have to build back up, right, the advantage that you have besides someone starting is you have more knowledge than them, so you're able to expand a lot faster.
mm, interesting. What's your long term vision?
Long-term vision is to also just impact the world in a very positive way, right? Change a lot of lives. Like, okay, cool, agencies are cool and all, I can make a lot of money, but like it's not super fulfilling in terms of I'm not putting on this planet to only make money. I also want to change a lot of lives, and that's why I started my info product, where we're doing a lot of things, we're impacting a lot of lives, and we're changing a lot of lives. Like one of my students came up to me the other day. He's like, the only reason I was able to pay for my mom's surgery is because of you, right? Because of you, you helping me get to my goals, and like that, you know, him saying that was so fulfilling inside that okay, I was actually able to impact someone's life. So the long-term vision is to impact like 1,000 lives in the coming year, right, through what we're able to teach.
God man, that's like honestly. I love that you didn't give a dollar number, but you got a different type of number,
Yeah,
and that's like really awesome, man. That's really
because
nice to
at the
see.
end of the day, like money's gonna come, right? If you put enough value into the world, you're gonna make money, right? So money shouldn't be the motivator, and that's why a lot of people actually fail, is because they use money as a motivator. At one point, like, brother, money just becomes a number on the screen, right? It just goes up. Like
Mm.
at this point, like I have money, right? Like it doesn't motivate me. Like yesterday, we got like a $15,000 payment. I looked at my screen and got back to work. Didn't even smile, right?
Mm,
Because it's just become so common for me, and it's become something that I've gotten very used to. So like you have to change, your motivator into something that's non, monetary.
mm. I have a question. Let's because it's okay. We were born broke, and
Oh,
we
same
start
here.
from here, so
We had
we
no
have
money when I was born.
yeah. So
Or just give me
we
my
had a
chair, bro.
hustling up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we just start that segment over where you were saying you were broke?
So we were born broke, right? And bro, my parents were almost homeless at some point when we moved from Romania to Czech Republic when I was like 5 years old. All right. So it was really tough the first few years when they were moving away, etc. So we have the hustle in us because we were born broke. But how
Yeah.
would you raise a son? You know, how would you instill that hustle in him when he knows that dad is rich? How would you do that?
I mean, I could kind of speak from experience because, like, now my dad's very well off, and the way that he's made sure that I'm motivated is like, you know, he's always said like, even if you come into the family business, right, you're not gonna just get this, chair right away. You're gonna start from the bottom, right? You're gonna start from the bottom and make your way to the top.
Mm,
Because I give you the chair on the first day, you're gonna make the business fail because you don't understand it. You don't know what works, right? So the way that I'm gonna make sure that my son is successful is by, in his early years, like, spoil him. But once he gets to a point where he has to handle himself, is make him work for it, right? Make him put in the same amount of effort. Don't just give him everything that he wants, because if I give him everything, he's never going to have that fire inside of him to actually build something of his own, right? And that's the reason I'm doing my business, even though I can go into my family business, is that I want to build something on my own, because I know that I'll learn all of these skills that will later help me actually take that business to 9 figures, 10 figures, because right, I've learned the skills myself, and also gone through the pain of building something on my own, right? So that I value what my dad has built, rather than just getting it for no
mm,
reason.
yeah. what would you say is the most valuable lesson you've learned in the last year?
Well, that's a good question. Is adversity builds success, right? You have to go through hard times, you have to go through pain in order to be successful. It's not going to be a fun road, right? Entrepreneurship is not fun. Entrepreneurship is not the easiest journey. And if you think that, right, you're never going to be successful. You have to know from day one that this path, right, is going to, make me a lot of money. It's going to actually fulfill me. But in order to actually achieve that, you have to cross so many mountains and go through so many late nights of just like sitting in your bed thinking, okay, is this gonna work? Is this not gonna work? Like, is everything that I'm putting in actually gonna help me get there, right? And like, just knowing that, has helped me so much throughout the years that, this is gonna be a very long and painful road. But when I do achieve what I want to achieve, it's gonna feel so rewarding because I know what actually got me here, and all the struggles that I went to actually get there.
Mm. What was your lowest point in life?
Lowest point in life, business aside, was when I was getting bullied in schools, right? Like, it destroyed me.
Mm.
Like, especially when we moved from uh America to Pakistan, like that shift was huge, right? I went from being in this first world country to like a third world country, right? And like not even knowing the language. And when I got thrown into school, like it was an all boys school, right? I didn't speak the language. I got bullied so much that I actually ended up in the hospital because of how mentally depressed I got, and I started having seizures. And like that, like 4 or 5 months that I was there, right, was so depressing, and so like I was so down that when I got out of it, I'm like, I want to do something with my life. It like lit something under my ass, right? In like lack of better terms, to achieve something with my life. I'm like, all these people only hate because like they I just don't know something. But if I do know more than them, I'm able to achieve something more, right? Like they're never gonna be able to bully me. And everything that you do at the end of the day is for that
Mm.
younger version of yourself, right? And in order to actually make that younger version of yourself fulfilled.
Yeah, man, absolutely. When you disassociate your current self,
Yeah,
past self, and your future self, bro,
yeah,
you're able to make so much better decisions.
exactly,
Like, genuinely, like, how am I gonna feel about this decision, bro? Like, so many bad decisions I made because I just thought about my current self and I didn't think
exactly,
about the future. You know, and also learning how to forgive your past self because it's done now, right? So
exactly.
it's
And
like,
you
what
can't
can you
change
do
it.
about it now? Yeah. I wanted to ask some rapid fire questions before you wrap up.
Awesome, awesome. Go ahead, bro.
Ready? Okay.
Yep.
What do your haters say the most?
That I scam people, that I don't do the business model that I do, and that I have daddy's money.
Yeah. If you could rewind time to any age, what would you rewind to? Maybe for a day.
Maybe for a day, I think I would rewind to when I was like 8 or 9 years old. I think that was like, we had just, kind of the business that my dad's business had started kind of working, right? We were all like very happy. Like a day that I still remember from that day was when we were having dinner, and, my dad got a payment and we were all so happy, right? And like that feeling like is unmatched. So like, your childhood is always like, the best part of your life, in my opinion.
Mm. What's the best advice you've been given?
Best advice I've been given is, you know, I gotta remember what he said because I learned this when I was in Bali. But okay, yeah, okay, I remember. Is that the only way that you're gonna actually achieve the person that you want to be, right, is by forgiving, the version of yourself that wasn't able to achieve the success that he wanted,
Mm,
right? Like if I still thought about, the version of me that had failed drop shipping, I don't think I would be here, if I had still thought about that person. I would forgiven that person. I'm like, you just didn't have enough knowledge to make it work. And that's why, I've just forgiven myself over and over again. Because if you don't forgive yourself, right, you're just gonna hate yourself. And if you have self hate, right, you're never
mm,
going to actually be able to self actualize and get to where you want to be.
yeah. What's the worst advice someone has given you?
Or to take the traditional path and to play it safe, right? Like playing it
Mm,
safe is never going to actually get you successful because if you don't take a risk, you don't actually achieve success.
mm. Do you have a favorite quote?
At the moment, right, I think I've already said the quote is like, the these are the stories that I will one day tell, and these are the demons that I will one day conquer. Right, like that quote right now is like what's playing a very important role in my life.
What was your best and worst purchase?
Best purchase I would say has been, mentorships, right, and learning. Worst purchase I think was when I moved, away from my parents and got a penthouse, right? Is like it was fun, it was nice, but it was like the worst purchase as like I kind of went in the state of like, oh fuck, I made it, like I have like this penthouse, like but then I saw how it impacted my parents, how it like kind of broke our family. I think that was like one of the worst purchases in terms of not being the person I was and becoming somebody who I'm actually not in order to show off to people.
Mm, yeah. What was the proudest moment in your life?
I think the first time I got my first 10 grand payment and then showing it to my dad and seeing like that reaction that he had,
Mm,
like I still remember that day, like, and I saw how happy he was because like what I had been doing, it had worked, and it showed him, okay, like, and then he's like, I'm proud of you, son. And like that like as a boy, right, as a
yeah,
man, bro, when your dad says that, dude, you forget everything.
bro. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Bro, what's the what was your biggest failure, and what would you learn from it?
Biggest failure is when we lost all of our clients in like a single month. And then from that I just learned, like, I'm not good at everything. I'm good at client acquisition, I'm bad at operations, I'm bad at like systemizing things, and that I need to delegate what I'm bad at, to people who are better
Mm.
than me.
Okay, man, this was amazing. So,
Yeah, I did.
what's
I
next
really
for
enjoyed
you?
it. What's next for me, man, is right now we're trying to build up my personal brand. Right, we're trying to grow on YouTube and everything like that. So right now the main focus is just building that personal brand and impacting a lot of lives in the coming years.
Okay, where can people find you, man?
You can find me on Instagram at Omar Shafiq Vlogs. On YouTube, just search up Omar Shafiq and you'll be able to find my channels. Well, bro, I really do appreciate you, inviting me on the podcast. Really did enjoy it. If you guys are, new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, throw a like on the channel, and like comment as well, right? Because it's gonna help the channel grow and also help him, become the person that he wants. So keep on supporting.
Absolutely, man. This was an amazing, and it was an absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and it was mine. See you all on the next one.
Peace out.
This was amazing, bro.
Yeah, I